Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Firefighters Chalkboard. This is Uncle Wayne, and tonight I have got a good buddy of mine. We've got Jason Worthy on. Jason, what's going on?
Oh, not much, man. Excited to be here.
Oh yeah. Everybody, you don't know how much work me and Jason have had to do to get this night going on. This has started probably 7 months ago, back and forth between vacations and conferences and classes and back and forth. We about done it in the bar one night sitting at at a conference trying to get something done, but we finally got it together tonight, and we hope everybody enjoys, the conversation we go to have and stuff. But for everybody that doesn't know Jason, go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody.
So I'm Jason Worthy. I'm second generation fireman. Uh, my dad was assistant chief and served as interim chief for a little while at City of Spartanburg. He was also the full time chief at the Packlet Fire Department for the majority of my life. The fire service is kind of all I've ever known. Growing up, I was always at a firehouse. When I graduated college, I went straight in to the fire service and spent the first 5 years of my career working at the City of Spartanburg. Then I transitioned to Greenville County and I worked for Pelham Batesville Fire Department, and I spent 13 years there, still on their part-time roster. And then made the transition back to Spartanburg County, and am now a captain at South Spartanburg Fire Department.
All right. Now, Pelham Batesville, that's the one I can relate to. I'm not as familiar with up in Spartanburg, even though my daughter went to upstate.
All right.
And but I used to live for a real short time about a mile from the old headquarters at Pelham
Yeah.
Batesville, and
Yeah.
kind of bounced back and forth from the old Bowling Springs firehouse on Pelham Road down to Pelham Batesville, back and forth, aggravating the guys back then.
Yeah. And they both have new headquarters now. So neither one of
Yeah,
them are headquarters anymore.
yeah. I actually, I got to talk to Chief Graham when we were at the fire academy a couple months back, and he told me, he said the next time you're in the area, you've got to come by and see the new firehouse.
It's
But
impressive.
yeah, he said it was real nice. So that was kind of the feather in his hat, him doing that one up. So you have been on the road a lot, and the cool thing I'll start off with is Sam gets to go with you a lot of times. And for everybody that doesn't know, Sam's Jason's wife, and she is a wizard with a camera. She and she helps out and takes a lot of the pictures and stuff and of stuff going on during trainings, during lectures, and everything else. And it's just amazing to see what she captures and everything that's going. And I just think it's really cool to start off with that you guys get to go do that together, and you get to share those experiences together. She's doing a lot more than just being behind the lens a lot of times too.
Yeah. So
Yes.
it is super cool, and I'm super blessed. I know, like, I've been in the fire service a while, and having a supportive spouse is the key uh, to a long fire service career, because if things at home aren't good, it makes fire service life not good. So just having a supportive spouse is huge. Now, mine went a little bit further than just supportive. She's always been a supportive spouse. And we were talking a little bit earlier, and actually, the class that for me was the eye opener, that there was so much more out there, was also the class for her that she decided through our friend Chance Craven, like, hey, she got to see all the stuff that Chance took in that 2019 truck company ops class. And it's like, hey, people get to do this. She's always loved photography. She got her love of photography from her dad, um, but didn't really realize that taking pictures at fire scenes and at training was a thing. So she saw Chance's work, and that inspired her to figure out to do what she had to do to get in to doing this. Now she gets more invites than I do to come in and shoot conferences and classes, and she loves doing it. There's something special. Uh, we've got to meet a whole lot of fire photographers at this point in our lives, and I'll say this as a fireman and as an instructor: what they do super special. They're
Yeah.
capturing moments that people will remember forever, and that they're able to take those moments and share with their family. I know both Sam and Chance, through talking, there's been some photos that they've taken that have been super impactful. Maybe it was somebody's last photo that somebody has of them, or maybe it was their last photo before some sort of crazy sickness hit and they were out of the job for a little while. And all that's super impactful, and it's kind of been eye opening for them. I know it was for my wife. to how impactful those photos can be.
Yeah. And looking at them, and as just like you're saying, as a fireman, as an instructor, I'll tell you, as an instructor, I love it whenever somebody's sitting there taking pictures. I mean, I got all these people looking at me. A camera lens ain't gonna change anything.
Right.
But what it does is it gives me the access for me to read myself a lot of times, because we don't get to see what the students are looking at, you
Right.
know. And one of the things that was said to me really early on when I started teaching was, if we're not excited about what we're teaching, how can we expect the students to be excited about learning?
For sure.
And being able to go back and look at those pictures, you can actually look in yourself and tell, is he really in it, or is he just up there talking a bunch of, technical stuff or whatever? I want to be in it. I want to be, I'm telling you, when I crawl up there, I want that to be my sermon. I want to preach the
Right.
gospel, and and conviction and love and everything else, that for every
You
bit
want
of
to
my,
be passionate about it.
yeah. I mean, I want to go so hard I got people passing in the plate and looking for rattlesnakes.
That's right.
But you know, it's we don't have that enough. And it's not, and we've got photographers at the big stuff, this is going to be about Jason more than it is Sam, I promise, but it's just a good way to get
Hey,
it going.
she's cooler than I am anyway, so we can talk about her all night.
Well, the good thing about her getting a bunch of invites is you can tag along with your gear and go play.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
but and we don't we see the photographers at the big conferences, but see, like, one thing Sam does, and Chance does it too, but going to the little ones, because the
Yep.
little ones are a lot of times where you have the really big moments, and when you get to have that more intimate setting between instructors and students and stuff. And
I
I
think it's
just,
neat with her and Chance too, because Chance was a fireman, and she'll tell you all the time that she almost interprets the pictures that she's taking through a spouse's view, and she's trying to, when she started all this, one of her big goals was to give a way for spouses to understand, why are firemen going to these conferences and trainings, and why are they spending more time away from home, and what is so important that they're learning. And one of her goals was to be able to capture that through the camera lens and be able to share that. And she's super talented at doing that, and capturing the moments that I know, even for myself, I've been blessed that not only as an instructor, but as a student, she's been at some of the stuff that I've been to take pictures. And I can look back at the pictures and remember exactly what I was feeling in that moment. It's written all over my face, but I also remember the moment. And to have a picture of that is super cool.
yeah, it lets you relive it. It's
That's right.
like you get to learn that, and you get a recap of that learning thing again all over. So, but with you guys riding around, you guys have been everywhere. I mean, you guys just come back from Louisiana,
We
and
did. We did.
we were in Columbia together, what, a month and a half ago.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, right before Snowmageddon 26, um, or Iceageddon when I got stuck on the interstate, whichever one you want to call it. Uh, Mississippi ain't good with ice. I'm telling you, them
I
guys
bet
ain't used.
not.
But you get a chance to. We were talking pregame, and you hear us talk sometimes about sandboxes, and everybody knows exactly what I mean when we talk about sandboxes. I will tell you, 5 years ago, I never left my sandbox. And you're talking about, 20, that's 25 years in the fire service, and I was stuck right where I was at. And it wasn't a bad thing, because I was caught up in my job here, my part-time job, everything, taking care of my family, doing the best I could to provide for them. And then my kids started getting older. Got one married off. She's gone. Told him there's no refunds. Um, but I started having opportunities to get outside my sandbox, go do some trainings. Nothing, if nothing else, go to the socials, and actually, it's the biggest battery recharge in the world, because you get
For
around
sure.
so many people that are excited to be there. It's completely different than somebody that's grumpy about having to go to work. You got people that are driving hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles to go to a conference somewhere, paying money, doing whatever they can. Some of them taking vacations, but they're wanting to be there and learn about the craft, be around firemen, not people
Yep.
that not people that complain or gripe. Everybody that loves 100% what they're doing, and it is super passionate to be around that. And a lot of times it'll make you try to spend as much time as you can out of your sandbox because it's addictive. Where's my next conference? Where's the next training? And it doesn't have to be anything huge. It's just once you see the world through a different set of eyes, you realize, hey, there's a lot of people that love it just as much as I do. It makes it more infectious. And then sometimes it can actually be really good for your home life with your home department because some of the things that you think are really bad, you realize, hey, I actually got it pretty good talking to some of these other people.
Yep. That's definitely something that I've learned. Just to touch on that alone is we all have our issues within our department, but there's no department, no state, no place in the country that I've traveled that has been free of issues. And a lot of times the issues are very similar, if not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy when you're only in your sandbox to think like, hey, it's my department, it's my department. And in reality, those are the same issues that everybody seems to be dealing with. Um, but you're right, it is a recharge every time that you get to go and be around like-minded people. It is, you start to realize that you're, especially if you get bogged down in your organization and you start feeling like, hey, I'm the only person that wants to be a student of my craft all the time. It can be easy to feel that way, especially if you're from a department whose sandbox is small.
Mm-hmm.
And where everybody they kind of keep all of their toys in their sandbox. Then going out from that and finding out like, hey, there's people in every state of this country that think the way that I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's super refreshing. Not to mention the skills and the nuggets that you pick up. I've
Yeah.
been blessed to be doing the travel and conference, teaching, learning for, like I said, since about 2019, which was kind of when my eyes really opened up to how much more was out there and how much being in my sandbox and kind of, I don't want to say hampered because I had a good sandbox, but there was also so many skills and knowledge that was so much deeper than what my sandbox had to offer. And that's any sandbox. I don't care if you have the best sandbox in the world. If all the toys are in the same sandbox, you never bring a new toy in. It's always just going to be that sandbox. So going out and getting fresh ideas and learning, hey, they do things completely different in Louisiana than we do in South Carolina, but maybe we are able to learn one or two things from them that we bring back to us that makes our sandbox even better. Which helps keep, for me, it helps keep that passion super ignited because I'm always going to learn and then coming back to teach and then going to learn. And I don't say teach like from an official standpoint. It's more going and I learn and I pick up nuggets and I come back and share it with my guys and my people because I want us to be the best that we can be. I want to be the best that I can be.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of times, it's 90% of what we do. Yeah, at the conferences where you're sitting there talking to a lecturer. So what are you doing during breaks? You're
Network.
having conversations back and forth. Or if you're doing a hot class, you're spending all day talking back and forth with the guys you're getting reps with. And you got dinner at night, or everybody hanging out in the lobby at the hotel, or however it may be. It doesn't stop, and it's not boring. It's like a conversation that will go on constantly between multiple people for 3 or 4 days, and it's just all the ideas in the world you can download. And just like you said, learning about the way they do things in Louisiana, the guys there are learning about the way we do things in South Carolina too.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we both draft. There is rural water operations, believe me, everywhere,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
everybody doesn't do it the same.
Right.
When I first started, talking with Andy, I was good at moving rural water because that's where I primarily come from. But getting to talk with him and the way he does things and stuff, I learned so much more. And I guess the difference is a lot of times when I was saying earlier about people trying to do what they can to get there, everybody's so open to information. It's not like, and when I say this, I'm not trying to pick out certain people, but a lot of times when you try to pass on information on something to somebody that you've learned, I don't need it. I don't care what you done down there or whatever. When we go to these other places, everybody's there to learn. So they'll take any kind of information. There's no ego anywhere. It's
Yeah,
nothing
very
but
few
education.
conferences or classes have I been to where I felt like there was an ego problem.
Yeah.
Most of the time you're going, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the person is, from the person sitting next to you in a lecture for the conference to the person who is giving the keynote.
Hmm.
They may be the subject matter expert, but if you approach them and like, hey, so we do things this way, and here's why we do it. What are your thoughts? They're going to give you their thoughts. But then I've also had instances where I've overheard conversations, been part of conversations where they're like, hey, you know what? That's a really cool idea. I don't know why we hadn't thought of that. Like it's so non-ego driven that it's one of the things that I love about it.
It's all about making the service we provide better.
Correct.
And it's hard to describe. Anybody just listening, if you haven't had a reason to jump out of your sandbox, go somewhere to a conference, I don't care if it's 20 miles away, go somewhere different than the people you are normally around and go train. Go have a good time. Um, if
I think
it's
that's a great point that you bring up. Is it doesn't have to be. I think even early in my career, before that 2019 timeframe, uh, you just you think that the only conferences out there are the huge ones, the FDICs, the state conference. That even for our state, there's tons of mini, and I'll call them conferences. We can call them classes, however you want to look at it. 2 and 3 day, truck classes that Soda City puts on, or 2 or 3 day classes that you can travel just right across the line in Georgia to some really cool cadres that put together. It doesn't have to be a week long, go, you know, 500-600 miles away from home to receive what we're talking about. That it can be done really close to home. You just have to be open, and you have to. The fire service has gotten a lot better as far as getting that word out. I
mhm,
would say that early in my fire service career, there was just no resource to know about it unless you just knew somebody from a department that was going, or just knew an instructor, or that was really the only way you found out, like, hey, they're having this really cool class in Columbia or wherever that would be within driving distance. And now with social media and the internet,
yeah,
we're just so blessed in the fact that I know I see it, and I know that could be because I go to a lot of stuff, but there's classes and conferences and mini conferences within driving distance of my house just about every week,
yeah.
which is nuts to think about, but it's also a humongous blessing. And we just need to keep driving that and making sure that people know, like, hey, I can go look at this, and then I can go do exactly what we're talking about.
Oh yeah. I mean, because I remember whenever I was starting off when I was young in the fire service, and this will show just how much things have evolved in 2 decades. Okay. And because a lot of people don't understand, you know, the way we used to find out about classes in South Carolina was the fire academy put everything on. There wasn't anything around other than the state conference to come once a year.
Right.
And we used to get a little pamphlet that looked like a TV guide, and it come in the mailbox to the firehouse, and you had to go through it, and it had whatever classes the academy was putting on and what weeks it were, and you had to put in by mail to apply for it or whatever, and that was it.
Right.
The one cool thing everybody tried to go to is they tried to go to Athens to go to Georgia Extrication School,
Yep.
and that was basically it. Now look at what has transpired in the last 2 decades from what it was then to what it is now. Just like you're saying, just about every weekend you can find somewhere to go and learn something new, different every time.
For sure.
Because you know we've got a lot of stuff coming up here, and I'll say we're blessed because we're stuck right in between Georgia, Tennessee. We can get around really quickly, especially where you are because you got where all the states kind of bounce in together. I got a little bit more coming from the salty water on the east, but
Right.
we got more. If you want to tourist classes, I got you covered. I mean, I can show you all the tourists in the world how to handle tourists right here.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, because think about it, MAFC's coming up.
Yep.
I mean, MAFC's
Great
coming up.
conference.
Yeah. You got Smoky Mountains coming up. Uh, I can't remember the one in Raleigh. It's a North Carolina State Convention, but it's coming up. It's like the springtime in the South is wide open. It
Spring
really
and
is.
fall both, to be honest. And that's when we talk about the South. That's from South Florida to the Virginias. At
Yeah.
least from what I know, they're the springtime and fall time is conference season, and there's just a ton from little small stuff to big conferences.
Oh yeah. I mean, 3 weeks ago I was in West Virginia at one, and
Right.
yeah, and it was right in the middle of coal country. I mean, great people, beautiful view. It was, but I will say that it has been my mission to get to FDIC. I've never been. I hope one day I get a chance to go. It's just haven't had the opportunity. You know.
Awesome environment. I've actually been super blessed, and then I think I've been 3 times. But networking, man, it is unlimited networking. And I'll be honest, it can even be, especially the first time you go, it can be super overwhelming.
Hmm.
Just there's so much to see. Like I said, I think I've been 3 years. 1 year I only did hot, and I don't think that I have seen everything that there is to offer any time that I've been, or a combination of them. It's just so much. But in the same, it is so much. The lectures, there's hundreds of lectures to choose from. In fact, it gets tough because you'll find like, hey, I got 2 or 3 lectures I want to go sit in on, and they're all at the same time slot. So now
Yeah.
I have to pick. But super cool experience. You would really like it. Hope you get the opportunity.
Yeah. I'm hoping. You know, I just I guess as far as I am in my career and stuff, I don't want to take an opportunity for somebody that's got a longer time that can bring more back to the department.
Understand that.
I'm trying to get it to where if I end up going, I want to go on my dime. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, one day I can come up with something good enough to get picked to be able to present. That would be the good thing. But everybody can't make it because I mean, let's be realistic. Is the Super Bowl of fire conferences it is? Everybody can't make it to FDIC. Everybody can't make it to March Mayhem. I mean, a lot of the bigger events that's coming up, everybody can't make it to MAFC. And I had a blast the last time I was there. I
Yeah.
mean, really good time. But a lot of times, and I was wanting to, do a lot of chatting about the micros because those micros, everybody can find one.
For
You
sure.
can find one within 100 miles of where you are. I don't care where you're at. If you look hard enough, you'll find one within 2 to 3 weeks. You got somewhere you can go train at least once a month if you wanted to.
Yep.
And the people you meet, I mean, like there's one coming up. I wish I had my whole list, and but I'm gearing up, man. I'm ready for October to get here. When the mosquitoes will be gone, and it won't be so hot. Well, they won't be gone, but they'll be less on the attack. But I'm gonna go down to Louisiana. I mean, go hang out with those guys, have a good time there. September, the Fools are having the international conference. It's gonna be in St. Louis this year. Um,
Really
that's
cool.
looking that's looking like it's gonna be a really great time and have a big turnout.
And I'm going
As
to throw a
far
shameless plug because we're talking about FDIC. Another great conference, and it is popular. But if we start talking about distance wise from us and our local people, that's not really a whole lot more different in distance. Is firemanship in Aurora, Illinois. If you
yeah,
haven't been, man, that is something special. It's not as much of the exhibit hall stuff. It's more just fireman stuff. But as far as skill and the lectures are more towards fire skill and knowledge of the fire service. But the networking is just next level, and it's the same level instruction that you're getting at FDIC, and a little bit more. It's a smaller conference, obviously, but man, it's something special. So Cody Trestrell and Brothers in Battle and the whole Fire Nuggets Ohio, they're all killing that, bringing that together. It is something special.
yeah. And I love the part that we keep going back and forth and talking about networking because there's so many people. It's Don't get me wrong, you get a lot out of classes, and you can bring a lot from those classes back home. But the chance to talk to people, build relationships, and everything else, that stays. It doesn't go away. It's right on and right on. And it doesn't matter if it's as far as from me and you. I mean, you're talking a 3.5 hour drive between the two of us
Right.
versus, I've got people I've met at conferences that are in South Georgia, in South Florida, in Texas, Oklahoma. It's, and they're a phone call away. What do you think about this? Have you presented this yet? How did you do it with your class? Or if you're not in a teaching aspect and you're a company officer or either a back step or whatever, those contacts you make is worth a lifetime of information back and forth.
For sure. It's
Pull
been,
up.
I've leaned on those contacts throughout my career, being able to text a company boss that's in a large department and dealing with maybe an issue on the fire ground or an issue in the firehouse. Like, hey man, just looking for advice. What have you ever experienced this, and what did you do? How did you handle it? Or maybe it's dealing with a problem that you have with on the administrative side, right? And you're trying to push something up the ladder. So a lot of times those people they maybe have been there before already. So when you ask them, they've got advice to give you, and then you don't have to try and reinvent the wheel. Like, you just lean on the people that you have in your corner, and we all push the fire service forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of copy paste. I'm not gonna lie, uh, because just like you say, these bigger departments have already had the growing pains that a lot of the smaller ones has. And you, if nothing else, you reach out, hey, how did y'all battle this? And a lot of times I'm gonna go into company officer realm. There are so many classes across the country to teach you strategies, tactics, how to do this, how to do this, how to do this. We don't hardly have anything about how to deal with Tom when he's had a really bad day and he's pissed with the world and you got to deal with him for 24 hours. We don't
Yep.
we don't
Shameless
have.
shameless plug for our state, the South Carolina Fire Officer Academy that the association puts on. I'm blessed to be a part of the cadre there, and it is that missing piece to
Hmm.
that. It really is something special. A lot of people ask me about the things that I enjoyed and got out of it, and a lot of what I enjoyed the most and that I got out of it the most wasn't necessarily the skill stuff, which was awesome, and I got a lot out of that. It was the other side of the company officer role, that exactly what you're talking about, that we don't get told most of the time how to handle a conflict. We're just expected to know when we promote to that position, and that class puts you in scenarios and gives you the skills to deal with report writing when an attorney calls one day and says, "Hey,
Hmm.
why did you say this?" and dealing with conflict resolution, like you said, when your fireman comes in and he's had a bad 2 3 days at home and is just not in the right headspace, or is struggling with something on the mental health spectrum. Uh, those resources are something that sets that class apart, and it's something that we're super blessed to have in the state. Rick and Tardo and Andrew and all the guys who got that together are. Man, it's just something special.
It is. I've heard nothing but good things on it. I actually was working with a guy today. Him and his company come out and done some drills with us at the academy, and he just finished the last one. And it's and they do their best to make it real. I mean, because it's like, okay, you've run 15 calls, you're gassed, you're done. Okay, now we got a problem. Go handle this problem. And
Right.
it is truly giving you the pieces of the puzzle we don't normally get to try to make people successful. And I'll give kudos to the Firemen's Association and everybody that's putting that thing together, and with the assistance of the using the Fire Academy facilities and everything, because they listen to people, the boots in the ground, saying, what do we need to help make our officers be better? And it was a lot of this. We need conflict resolution. We need to get people to think about, documentation and everything. And they just started, I think they just started adding the attorney aspect and stuff to it. And because
I know it
I
was
was,
in my class, which
yeah,
was 2501. So I don't know how long it's been a part of the program, but it was one of the things that I enjoyed the most.
I know I had the opportunity last year. I went and done the state chief fire officer class. And it was kind of funny after I signed up. Everybody's like, "You want to be a chief?" I'm like, "Nah, yeah." I said, "But I want to be able to understand my boss and what I can do to help him more."
Yep.
You know, if I understand what he's going through, I can understand how to help take some of the weight off of him when it needs to be. Because our the little area we work in is real tight knit and stuff, and he's no different than the rest of us. I mean, my boss is overloaded, and if I get a chance to take a little bit of the stuff off of him, as long as I can understand it, I can help.
Yeah, and
If
I
I don't,
think another thing it does is it allows you to understand like how to bring things to it, right? I think
yes,
as officers, especially when we're seeing issues in the firehouse that we're trying to address, whether it be a training issue or a administrative issue, uh, it gets real easy to just get negative and want to bring a problem, but bringing a solution with the problem
yeah,
is huge, right? And understanding the way your boss thinks and the things that are on his plate to understand, like, hey, I don't need to just bring him another problem. He's got too many problems already. I need to let him know we have a problem and then provide him with my idea for a solution and then see where he wants to take it from there.
absolutely,
But
yeah,
I think that's vital is learning programs like that where you do get to learn like, hey, these things are on my boss's plate. Like things that there's a lot of things that even in my new position that I've learned from the fire chief standpoint of stuff that he has to think about, or even a training chief. Like, yeah, it'd be real easy to be like, well, all they have to do is come up with these trainings for us to do. But there's a whole lot more to the documentation and the OSHA paperwork and injury paperwork and all that that I just had no idea until I started asking questions and having the opportunity to be around those kind of people. And it definitely gives you an understanding.
oh yeah, and it's no different than when we were an engineer. We wanted to be inside the head of the lieutenant, so we were thinking ahead of him, so we knew what he wanted on a working job.
Sure.
And so, but the one thing of it is when we become line officers, or either like me in the training division and stuff, it is you don't see as many people trying to get in the head of the boss ahead of them on that one, and
Right.
it's something we need to keep working forward on. Just because when we get in the right seat doesn't mean we need to keep looking to the next right seat. We need to keep that in the head and making it where things would actually be positive.
Right.
And it's helping in conflict resolution. And conflict resolution is not always a personnel problem. Sometimes conflict resolution might be we've got this thing coming up. It could be a basket case scenario. It could be 100 different things.
Right.
It is just having the opportunity to problem solve and, like you said before, come up with okay, here's 5 solutions. Now here's the problem. Pick which one you like the best, and I'll make it happen. You know.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay. But yeah, and I know there's places all over the country for everybody that's listening. They have programs like this, but the thing of it is like I say, people don't know about them. So what I really want to do is really encourage people to dig out there and see what's really available. Because just like you said before, everywhere you go, you see stuff that is close to the same problems what you're realizing at home. There's just as many people putting forth the effort to fix those problems through training across every state in the country. But it's a lot of times it's even though with social media and the internet and everything else we got, it's not as put out there because a lot of times it's an extensive class like the chief officer class. That was a 2 week class,
Right.
and it's it's a lot of legwork because like so you were talking about the officers academy, the chiefs class. We had a half a day with a HR attorney because a lot of times we don't learn with eight we don't ever learn about HR problems.
I don't know.
And we spent a half a day with OSHA. We spent a half a day. It was broken in between different aspects of state and federal government that we're not normally privy to as a upper line officer or battalion chiefs. A lot of times that's what assistant chiefs and fire chiefs and stuff are dealing with.
Right.
But look at how much more it benefits you to have that little bit of information because that gives you that much more understanding of the, you know, what's going on in the fire chief's mind.
Right.
So let's change it up just a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about instructor of one of those classes in the conferences, what are you looking for out of your students to come there? Because that's a whole different level of instruction than what a lot of us in the fire service are actually used to.
Um, Man, that's a great question. And I don't know that I've ever heard that question posed that way. Man, I think just firemen that want to learn, a desire to learn, uh, and a desire to give effort. Most of the hands-on classes that I help with are effort intense, um, and just show up, know like, hey, this is a hot class. We're going to do hands-on things, which means we're going to have to put in some hard work, and just being willing to do that from somebody that comes to a class like that with tons of experience, being willing to be vulnerable. And I see that often. I love seeing a company boss whenever we're teaching a skill that's like, hey, I want to go first, and whether they hit it and it's perfect because they've done it their whole career, or they flub it up. Like, I think that speaks a lot to the guys that are in class with them, that may be working for them. So just the attitude of wanting to learn and not being afraid to fail, because that's where we're supposed to fail. If we're going to fail, let's do it on the training ground. So not being afraid of failure, willing to give effort, and just hungry to learn, I think is what I would say as an instructor with any time, not just at a big conference, but when I'm instructing my guys at the firehouse. That's what I want and expect out of them. Is we're not going to be perfect. It may not be pretty, but we're gonna do work, and we're gonna learn and get better together, and just have a positive attitude towards that during class.
I like that. And I like that a lot. One of the things that I was having a conversation with a student, because I'm trying to get in their head, because how do we learn to be better instructors? By getting in the head of the student, what do you need? What did I fall short? Did I excel? We don't know how to tweak stuff if we don't get any feedback. And one of the one of the students I was talking with, he said, the biggest thing that stood out was that, and I'm not talking about me. I was talking to about another class he was in, and he said, the instructor wasn't cocky, he wasn't arrogant, he was straight up humble about everything, and the whole thing of it was he made himself vulnerable for everybody else, explaining his screw ups, what he done wrong, what he learned from it, how he come past it, and that's real, and I think that's what you know the fire service I grew up in whenever I started, going to classes was a lot of the I know everything, be quiet and listen, don't say anything unless I ask you a question. That's completely changed now.
Agreed.
The the fire service now, we've got a lot of young people that are really eager to learn. They want to do a great job, but they want to be part of the process. They want to be interactive. They want good feedback. And the younger kids, I call them kids, I mean, but they're not scared to tell you what they need to be successful,
That's right.
how they learn. And it's not softening anything up. It's not changing. It's making things to where they are be benefiting. Where because if I've got to tweak what I do a little bit to get it through to this person where they can come out and be a rock star, that's what I need to do.
For sure.
And a lot of times when you have those smaller, training sessions, those smaller hot classes or smaller lectures, I'll be the first one to tell you that's the ones I get the most out of. I done a lecture a couple of months back. It is what it is. I had 6 people show up into that lecture for an hour and 45-minute block. And you know what we done? We had a great conversation for an hour and 45 minutes. And it was probably some of the deepest conversations we had ever had, back and forth in interaction, because the people that were there were all in. It didn't matter how many people it is. And that was something that really made me change the way I looked at things as an instructor, because a lot of times this whenever when we're teaching, it's like I want to pack the room. I want as many people as I can. That's nice. But if I don't get a hold of but 2 people out of 50, I still only got 2 people.
That's right.
But if I had 6 and I got a strong impact on all 6, that benefited the fire service better than having 50 people in a room.
That's
So
right.
it's not always the big rooms, it's the impact you can make into people you're around.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head too with, and I think the fire service has changed. I'm still blown away that I get invited to help, and I'm going to use quotations here because I haven't come up with anything special in the fire service. I don't. I was blown away that I get invited to teach. I, I learn as much, and I tell people this all the time, if not more, when I go and teach from the students than when I was maybe in the same class. Um, but I know for me, the instructors that I learned the most from, uh, man, their ego, they don't have an ego. And if you were to say like, hey, so have you ever seen such and such done this way? The guys that I think are the top tier instructors are the ones that say, "Well, I haven't. Why don't? Can you? Do you mind showing?" Right?
Yeah.
Then usually they show it, and maybe it's not something we pick up, but it gives them an opportunity for you to see something maybe you haven't, and then if you have subject matter that you can give an opinion on, then you can say like, "Hey, well, we kind of tried it like this, but this is why it didn't work for us." Or maybe you've learned something new, and you're like, "Hey, like." I had never seen it this way, and I think it's super cool. Uh, like I said, I know for me, anytime that I have the ability to teach, and I have a student that's like, "Well, have you ever tried to do this? Whether it's forcing a door or a drag or whatever." I'm always like, "Please show me. I'll take time out of my instruction where I'm my talking points to give to you, so that I can maybe you show and you teach this whole group something that I don't even have to offer." So I think that has been a key to the fire service progressing is we as instructors, and once again, I'm still blown away that I put those quotations around my name, but as instructors, we have to put ego to the side. Like
Yeah.
you have to be just as hungry to learn as we are prideful to teach, if that makes sense. Not saying that all
Absolutely.
instructors are prideful,
Um,
but it's something to be proud of.
yeah. I'll be the first one to say, because I deal a lot of times with recruits going through recruit. Man, they teach me more about myself than I've ever been able to figure out on my own. They teach me how to be more patient, how to be more understanding, how to stay humble, because as instructors, we've got that huge responsibility to teach them. That's in the recruit because we're teaching them how to take care of the citizens. We're teaching them and preparing them to go do their job, their career. And when we go and teach these conferences, right then, truly, it is our job to pass on as much wisdom as we can in that short amount of time. And here's the way, and I do my lectures a little differently. Everything I set up to be a talking point on the table. And I want that back and forth. Everything I talk about, I want the feedback from the class. I want us to have a conversation for an hour and 45 minutes about a topic that I can bounce my ideas off. You can give me yours. Somebody from the other side might be able to give me something. I just want to be a platform for somebody to take something away, take it back to their department and make their area better. It's
Right.
not just the way I say something. I want it to be an interactive experience for everybody. And that's what I see moving forward that is working really well because there's no barriers.
That's right.
I'm not just a talking head in the front of the building. I'm going to let you know right out the get go. You're not going to have a choice. I'm going to make you talk to me. We're going to have a conversation back and forth. And I think it opens up whenever, you break the ice off like that, getting your students, no matter what capacity you're at, it could be a company level training. It could be having 100 people inside a conference room with you. If you get the ice broken, let them know you want that feedback so everything progresses on how the feedback is coming. The training gets so much better. I mean, they get so much more buy-in to what's going on.
I agree, 100%.
So, what's the next class you going to?
Man, so I've got several state classes that I need to get checked off the list just for training matrix. So they're kind of high. Um, there's my endeavor to be a smoke diver is still on the table as long as my body will hold up. And So whatever program that I get to approach there next, put in for Georgia, made the alternate list. So there's a chance there. I plan to still put in for Florida, Tennessee one day. There's tons of those programs out there. But yeah, and then I always wind up finding one or two of the smaller little mini conference stuff to go to, especially if they're close and I have the opportunity to shoot down to one. I try to make it a point to take as a student 1 to 2 uh, skills classes
Yeah.
a year. That may be skills that I'm passionate about and that I'm already blessed to be able to instruct, but just to go be a student and get those reps in as a student.
That's the thing. And we've all heard it, we've all said it, the day we quit learning is the day we need to quit teaching. And it's really important for us to be able to sit down, live with the example that Captain Guston set. He sat down in the class and would listen and learn anytime he had an opportunity to. And
Yep.
we need to follow that lead and that path that he paved for us, because he really, you know, set the way for all of us to follow. Jason, you got a wide open chalkboard. What kind of advice do you want to put on there for everybody to take home with them?
Man, love the fire service. This is truthfully the best job in the world. It's not for everybody, and that's okay. Set a high standard for yourself. If uh, Set a high standard for your crew, and you can set a standard for your crew, whether you're a fireman or whether you're a company boss. Hold that standard, and yeah, just stay hungry, keep learning. Remember the reason that we're here, and that is to serve our community and to serve each other uh, and have fun. Jay Michael said it best, man. This is the best job in the world, and if we're not having fun doing it, we're doing something wrong. Um, so yeah, that I would probably leave it with that, man.
I couldn't think of anything better. It truly is. Uh, Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you
I've
for the
really,
invite.
I've really enjoyed the conversation we've had. I hope there's some stuff that people can take from it. Um, Mainly, if you guys didn't catch it, we were hinting a lot for you to get out and go find those conferences and go do some training, go have fun. Maybe you'll bump into one of the two of us. Uh, but love it. Get out there and train, have fun, get away from the normal of what every day is you deal with. Go somewhere else, have a good time, be around a bunch of like-minded people, come back and spread that passion. Guys, thanks for listening. If you got somebody you want me to talk to, send me a message. I'll reach out to them. We'll get them on the show. Until next time, stay safe, keep learning, and we'll see you the next time somebody steps up to the chalkboard.